Welcome to ShelfHelp. This is a new blog series which we've just begun here at 4 Rooms Creative Self-Care. ShelfHelp will be appearing about every 2 weeks. It is designed to offer a few suggestions for books to read upon a specific theme. If you have a theme that you would like to see on ShelfHelp, please feel free to email us at shelfhelp@4rooms.ca. Your topic might just become the subject of our next episode. We also offer a personalized therapeutic readers list, in which you can request a personalized list of books targeted to your own reading preferences and your area of concern. Please see our website for more information. What exactly is bibliotherapy? At 4 Rooms, we practice creative bibliotherapy, which is the use of fiction and poetry to help us heal. Through reading, we can expand the stories we tell ourselves about our lives and learn from others' mistakes as well as their successes. We open our eyes to potential when we open a book. The second episode of ShelfHelp has the theme March 4th. As I have mentioned on the blog over the last few days, this time of year is perfect for deciding on a new direction and marching forth with it. The 4 books under discussion today all feature characters who are unsatisfied with their current state of life and take action to alter the future. They march forth with new actions and new ways of thinking, in search of their goals. Each character has a different situation and a different aim which they are marching toward, but the common thread is their decision to make a change, and their steady move to make it happen. Whatever you might want to change yourself, you may find some inspiration in the company of these characters. The first book is Ella Montgomery's The Blue Castle. This is one of her only books that she wrote for an adult audience. It is also the only book she wrote which is set completely outside of Prince Edward Island. It features Valancy Sterling, a 29-year-old spinster living in Deerwood, Ontario in the early 1920s. The miserable situation she finds herself in is being treated poorly by her family. She lives with her mother and an older cousin, and all the extended family is nearby. They patronize her, stifle her expectations, and do her the indignity of nicknaming her Doss. She doesn't see much room for change until she goes to her doctor for a regular checkup and is told her heart is bad and she only has a year to live. This is the catalyst that makes the change in her life. She doesn't tell anyone else, but she kicks off the shackles of her life and leaves home to care for a sick girl whose disreputable father is a local scandal. After that girl dies, rather than return home, she proposes to Barney Snaith, a friend of the disreputable father, and they marry and go off to live in a cabin in the woods. Being a book by Ella Montgomery, it does end happily. But what is Valancy searching for? Freedom, beauty, and love. And by taking action, moving out of her mother's house and proposing to Barney, both quite scandalous in that era, she moves in the direction of her dreams. The next book is the first in a lengthy series. The No. 1 Ladies Detective Agency by Alexander McCall Smith begins the very popular story of Ma Precious Ramotswe of Gaborone, Botswana. Ma Ramotswe has had her troubles. She married badly to a charming but abusive husband, and lost her child through his abuse as well. Divorced and bereaved, she returns home to her beloved daddy. He is dying, however, and as his last wish he wants her to take her inheritance and find a way to support herself. She decides to do this by becoming the first female detective in Botswana and opening the No. 1 Ladies Detective Agency. Ma Ramotswe's situation may not have looked too bright, but she decided on a course of action, and even though it was an uncommon choice, she kept on. Striving for self-sufficiency and self-respect, Ma Ramotswe did something no one around her had ever done before, pushing aside naysayers and believing in her own vision. She builds a successful business and finds her place in the world. This is an inspiring story told in the form of a mystery novel, and it is charming and insightful. Next we have Jerome K. Jerome's 3 Men in a Boat. This is an 1889 classic. Mixing travel and humor, Jerome relates a very funny story of a boating trip up the Thames. In the opening of the novel, the narrator Jay is talking to 2 of his friends. They are all feeling bored, overworked, and are quite certain they are coming down with multiple illnesses. The solution to this is a holiday. So, They all work together to get a boat in which the three of them, and their dog, can boat upriver, camping along the way. They are searching for adventure, friendship, and fun, and they get it. There are various misadventures as they travel, and they make the best of everything. If things don't turn out the way they expect, they don't let it derail their adventure. They are open to chance and determined that they will get the fun and relaxation they are aiming at. Even if this means changing their minds halfway through and taking a train back home rather than rowing in the rain, they focus on their goal, an enjoyable holiday trip with friends. And we receive the benefit of a very funny story that lets us know that we don't have to march forth alone. The final book takes us in a more serious direction. Ray Bradbury's Fahrenheit 451 is the tale of a dystopian future in which books are banned as dangerous substances. Guy Montag is a fireman. In this case, a fireman is a person who burns books and the offending places in which they are found. He's quite satisfied with his life until he meets his neighbor, who questions the reality of day-to-day life. Then, in a day on the job in which they burn quite an extensive library, and its owner, a mature woman, burns with it rather than leave it, he begins to question for himself. What is so powerful about books to make someone do such a thing? He begins to steal books and hide them, endangering himself and his family. He must abide by his personal moral decisions now, rather than blindly follow society's expectations, and it takes courage and determination to march on into this new life. Montag eventually discovers his own new tribe, after he is forced to leave behind his old life. A group of people live in the countryside, all misfits according to his society's norms, and each of them has become a book. They have memorized a special book in order to keep it alive. And what has Montag done? Awakened to new moral understanding, and then showed the courage to act on his knowledge and refuse the status quo. His marching forth has serious consequences, but it is his only real choice in order to stay true to himself. Thank you for listening to another episode of ShelfHelp. I wish you success as you may be marching forth with your own dreams and goals this year. I hope this has inspired you in some small way. Join us again for another episode in just a couple of weeks. Thank you for listening.